If you live in Montgomery County, you're bound to have noticed and experienced a change in the way people carry their groceries and other purchases. Now it's rare to ever see people at the counter with plastic bags. On January 1st, 2012, Montgomery County became one of the first counties in the United States to have a new bag tax law. This law enforces a 5-cent tax on each plastic bag used in any retail establishment. So we've seen the changes, but we wanted to know how the public really felt about them.
So how do you feel about the new bag tax?
I approve. Well, it takes them a long time to biodegrade, and during that time, they're, compromising the environment.
I think it's disgusting.
Why?
Well, first of all, they worry about bags getting into bodies of water. None of the bags I take home ends up going to a body of water, and because I use them to put out trash and other things like that, I don't just let them blow around the neighborhood or anything like that. So I'm paying for the penalty for the people who don't take care of things, who are irresponsible.
As long as it's going to actually do something positive for the county, I don't mind. This is one way they're going to raise awareness, because if it's going to cost people money, people sort of think when they have to lose money, they think about why they're losing it.
It just seems like one more thing, one more chunk of freedom taken away from us. And seems like it's being forced upon us, that type of thing. I just don't like it overall. But if it helps the ecology of the earth, that's okay. Sometimes you have to force people to do things before, because they don't really see what the benefits are. And so, as you can see, I've returned the bags here. They have recycling here, so I try to do my best.
We wanted to see how not only grocery shoppers felt about the new tax, but the everyday citizen. We went to downtown Silver Spring to ask people if they believe this bag tax will help with the betterment and awareness of our effect on the environment.
I think it's not effective. I know in DC they're saying that it wasn't really effective, but it has kind of stopped a lot of flooding in the Anacostia River. However, I think the poor people are usually hit the hardest when something like this is applied or implemented. So I'm still yet to see what progress is going to make in Montgomery County.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like people are still going to litter. It's not really about the bags, it's about everything else. So if they're going to tax bags, they might as well tax trash.
Exactly.
I approve, but at the same time it's like, it's not really going to do much, because people are still going to litter regardless. There's lots of other things that can pollute the environment other than plastic bags and paper bags. I mean, cigarettes, littering, pretty much everything,
I think it's a great idea. I think it has definitely gotten people to think more about using plastic bags and overusing plastic bags. It's also gotten retailers to spend a lot more time interacting with their customers about their bags. If you live in this area, you know that you drive along any major road and there are plastic bags floating around on the sides of the roads, in the roads, stuffed into trash cans. All of this is just waste. It reduces our use of oil, which reduces our chemical emissions for the country. It reduces our production of wasteful plastic. So we're not creating landfills full of useless plastic bags that don't biodegrade for 100, 200 years. And it also, like I said, it gets into people's minds. The idea that they have an impact on their environment in many ways. It may be a bit heavy-handed to charge them for plastic bags, but we're reaching that point now where we have to start making tough decisions like this.
Well, I live in a different county, so it doesn't affect me, but I think it's kind of crazy. That's very expensive. I know when you're in a rush, you don't have time to bring your own bags. So I don't think it's that fair, but if it helps the environment, then it is important. I think a lot of people will still get bags, but they'll try harder, and so it'll save in the end.
I'm a state and local tax senior manager at Grant Thornton, and I work around the country with practitioners to discuss corporate income tax matters, sales tax matters, do some consulting for clients, give speeches around the country to talk about the major state tax issues facing companies and individuals. So Montgomery County passed this law enacting a 5-cent per bag tax on bags, and for all sorts of retailers, not just supermarkets, but restaurants, department stores, all sorts of retailers are going to be required to charge 5 cents per bag as a means to reduce the amount of debris that goes into the county's waterways. Out of the 5 cents, the retailer gets to keep 1 cent out of the 5 cents as a means for paying them for administrative matters, because the retailers are going to have to file tax returns, giving the money over to the county. So that's the way the tax is intended to work. It's intended to allow people, or kind of encourage people, to go to their supermarkets and take their own bags and bring that and put their groceries in their own bags to reduce the amount of plastic that's being used. I think that you can look at it a couple different ways. From a retailer standpoint, it is definitely a little bit more of a burden because they do have to file tax returns where they normally wouldn't. But on the good side, retailer likely has to keep less inventory of plastic bags. So there are pros and cons from the retailer side. From the consumer side, you have to remember to bring your bags to the grocery store. For example, I went to the supermarket last weekend with one of my daughters and forgot to bring the bag. And it's only 5-10 cent charge if you're going to get 1 or 2 bags. But when I went up to the cashier was very insistent that I try to find a way not to use those bags. Do you have a bag? No, I don't have a bag. Do you want me to put it into the cart without a bag? No, I'll use the bag. And I felt guilty for having to pay 10 cents on these bags, but the cashiers seem to be very insistent on trying to make sure they use as few bags as possible, which in essence is a good result when it comes to looking at the waterways. I know that in the District of Columbia, they've been doing some visual surveys of the Anacostia River since they imposed their 5 cent sales tax on the bags, and they've seen a dramatic reduction in the amount of plastic bags floating in the waterways, which can only be a good thing from an environmental point of view. I definitely see this being expanded to other municipalities and perhaps even statewide at some point. I know that other municipalities in Maryland, like Prince George's County, is considering something similar to what Montgomery County has right now. So certainly see that this is something that you're going to have to track in the future. Retailers, might be difficult for some retailers to comply initially, but weighing that against the environmental benefit, and it's something that I think city councils and municipalities are really going to encourage.
Montgomery County has taken the initiative to decrease our use of plastics. Now it's up to the citizens to determine whether or not changes in the future to decrease waste in our waterways and protect our environment.